Hello, Jim Howard here in Fort Worth, Texas. Today's date it is June 28th of 2021 and it's 9 p.m. I think this is going to be short and fast, I think. Uh, I made it again, of course, I've changed. Oh, man, my arthritis hurts so bad here. I seem like I'm always crawling around on the floor, unplugging things and plugging things back in. But I moved. I put the Chrome box away. I don't think he even knew I had the Chrome box out, and I was down to one monitor for my Windows system. But okay, now I moved the both of the monitors here, so I'm facing this direction, which you don't know what that direction is, but uh, I so I have both the monitors hooked up to my PC, Windows PC, and I have both, as you can see, both the cameras hooked up. The uh, one here is the Logitech C920E, and the one over here is the Logitech Brio camera. Uh, so, see, both monitors hooked up, and right now this is a good arrangement. I hope I don't mess with it. There's something wrong with me that I'm always messing with it, messing with things. This looks good. The only thing is, when I hook the monitors up, I they're switched or something. The one that was here is here, and whatever. So I'm a little confused. Over here on this monitor is what you are seeing, and then in front of me is the OBS. I mentioned this before, by the way. This chair I got a while back, I go through chairs like. Anyway, this seemed like a pretty nice chair, but the armrest, you can click them and it drives me crazy. I just want them to be straight, and I put my arm on it and it, switches. Anyway, well, you can't have everything, I guess. So, monitors, computer. I'm using the microphone is the Elgato Wave 3. Of course, I moved my printer again that I just got working, and it's not plugged in yet. It was plugged in, but when I moved everything around, so I need to take care of that. What I wanted to tell you about is this TV show right here, Rita. Du gider ikke engang komme til vores personalemøde? Vi kunne skrive noget om respekt. Ej, du har da også siddet der længe. Måske trænger han bare til lidt opmærksomhed. Måske trænger han bare til en livsseng. It's a Danish TV show, Rita, 5 seasons. I watched the first 2 episodes. Now you have to, read the unless you can understand Danish. You have to read the captioning. I like it, and the first 2 episodes I watched. Like it's only, I'm not sure exactly, let's say 30 minutes. They're 30 minutes. But at the end of the first show, at the very end, they tied some things together, and I thought, wow, that's really good to...
Hey Jim, did you know I can't get YouTube again today?
I just told her that she doesn't listen to me. My ex-wife, I just told her that I was going to be making a YouTube video for a few minutes. There's a video that I made a few days ago about YouTube is fighting with Roku TV, and I've updated the thing even after the video I made a few days ago about it. It's got quite a few hits. I mean, nothing major, but well, let's see. Hang on a second. It got quite a few hits. Not a lot. Don't even look at the viewing numbers. You're going to say, "What do you mean, quite a few hits?" More than usual. Usually I make a video and the first day or two it gets 40, views or something. I think this got like 70 or something. And several people jumped in, yeah. Roku and Google, they are having a little war with each other. And I also posted, by the way, on that page a link of a story that explains it and what's going on. And it's a really good thing. I didn't know all that was going on. I didn't understand the entire thing. It sounds like, of course, Google is being Google. But Roku is not by any chance innocent at all. And it's not just a matter of money. It's well, maybe everything is a thing of money. What, follow the money? That's what they say in politics or something. But anyway, that's what that thing is. My ex-wife has a big screen TV, a Roku TV, and she watches. It goes 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. She falls asleep with the remote control in her hand, and sometimes she hits a button when she's sleeping. But even when she wakes up just for a little bit, then she'll start something, because if she's missed it, she'll back it up and start it over again. I go in the kitchen. She's in the dining room area, right? And I'll go in the kitchen a few times, well, to get ice or something like that. And I have seen sometimes, I swear to God, 5 times, and it's always seemed like the worst scene, because she watches, I think, the worst shows for her. And I see the worst, I see the same, and then I guess, then she falls asleep and wakes up in the show, and then she rewinds it, and then I come in an hour later or whatever, and I see the same scene over again. But anyway, I was on this thing. I was surprised to see Roku is, well, watch that video if you're interested in that. If you have a Roku television set, I guess maybe if you're having any kind of problems with the app on there for YouTube, she has a computer in the living room, but she doesn't like she doesn't like using the computer to look at the YouTube videos. She wants to do it on the Roku. And my God, she also does not want to learn, the keys to hit, or if there's a problem, she complains that there's a problem with her computer. Well, she usually goes to our grown, she asks, Jimmy to, which is fine with me. Believe me, that's fine with me. She asks him to solve, fix it. But she doesn't want to listen, and she doesn't want to learn, I mean, you have to learn a little bit, You have to learn what a browser is. You have to you have to understand if you open, 50 tabs, your computer's going to be slow or something, stuff like that. Anyway, that's what that was all about. So, let me see if I can remember where I was. Where was I and what was I doing? Okay, this Rita.
Du gider ikke engang komme til vores personalemøder. Vi kunne skrive noget om respekt. Han må da også sidde der længe. Måske trænger han bare til lidt opmærksomhed. Måske trænger han bare til en livsing.
I could make it full screen, but I'm not going to.
Han må altså godt se bare lidt mere begejstret ud, når vi sten. Ja, det
And I'll, of course, turn off monetization, because I'm sure a copyright file will be, you can't even, will be. Anyway, I watched the first 2 episodes of this Rita. You have to, close captioning. And I think you really have to be good to be able to take a 30-minute thing and have the stuff that's going on in it, and then to tie the thing together, like at the end you go, oh, wow, And they did the same thing with the second episode. So I think it looks like I'm going to have like 5 seasons of something to watch. And by the way, this Derry Girls.
That summer was a remarkable one. For generations we'd known nothing but violence, nothing but hatred. But finally we were saying, let's give peace a chance. She's up here! Jesus Christ! Close the door. No, Orla, leave. Then close the door.
I really like that. That's Northern Ireland. And unfortunately there's only 2 seasons of it. I'm not going to tell you how many times I have watched this, or else you're going to think I'm a child predator or something. Rather, they're supposed to be, and I think they were when they made this, about 16 or whatever, and they're going to so they're in Catholic school uniforms, and but there's only 2 seasons, and each season only has 6 episodes on it. And the last I heard, they wanted to make and were going to make a 3rd season, but then the virus hit, and they're still going to make it. But they're going to be getting older, Before long, they're not going to be able to play, 16-year-old high school girls. But I just love everybody in it seems just perfect for it. The mother, the father, the grandfather, the nun who runs the Catholic school, just everything on Derby Girls seems really good. So that's my recommendation. And then Rita now is, I'm going to be making more. If I find something that I like, I'm going to be telling you about it. And that's what this is about. So I better end this, because I do have people occasionally say I talk too long, I over-explained something, or there was one video that I made, I was surprised. I've mentioned before that I almost never get a thumbs down. It's really surprising if I get a thumbs down. And if I do, it's always because of politics. Something that I talked about politics, and that gets a thumbs down, but it doesn't get a bunch, maybe 2 or 3. But I was looking a couple of weeks ago. For some reason, I was looking at my own videos, not actually looking at them, but going, and I think it was 44 thumbs down. And when I made it, I knew it was not a good video. I think I went out and I think that was a video that I went out and was going to try to capture the International Space Station as it came over and get the radio communications of it, and also as it goes over. and it was my first attempt, and I knew, and I was doing it by myself, so I had, you know, the app on my cell phone showing me, and then I had my ham radio, and then I had the you know, whatever, and it didn't work out very well. I left it there because I was just like, and I tend to leave things here. If you run across something that's really bad, because I hate watching myself, even after when I make the video, I don't want to go back. That's why sometimes it's hard to get the underneath it, the uh, you know, the stuff to put underneath it, because as soon as I make it, I forget it, and I do not want to go back and listen to myself for an hour or for 10 minutes or anything, you know, anything. So if you happen to run across something that's exceedingly bad, let me know, and then God, I'd hate to have to look. I don't want to delete anything that. There's a lot of stuff that's old, but it shows like old cell phones, old cameras, and especially anything like where I'm out doing a walking, talking video. Even if that's bad, I want to leave that in. Like I've got some videos when I was in Miami, Florida, that, and like the ones in Washington D.C. or whatever, the ones in, you know, that where I was out walking or something, or where it was a rainstorm. I want to leave those because a few times I've gone back and watched like the rainstorm in Miami, and then I remember it, you know, I remember it that way. And oh yeah, you know, where otherwise it's kind of in the past. But if you run across something that's really bad, let me know and I'll delete it. If you happen to run, don't go. I'm not asking you to start it to be, you know, at my first video and go through each one of them or something. I wouldn't have. That would be cruel and unusual punishment. By the way, this building that collapsed in Miami, I walked more than once because I was in Miami for about 5.5 years, and at least twice, and I think more than twice, I walked all up and down. What's the name of the street where the building was on? Anyway, I walked up and down that street, and I mean, I could have taken the, especially after I walked all the way to the end of it. We're talking a long, long time. And then I could have taken, but I didn't. I walked back again, soaking it up. You know, a boy from, you know, Missouri. But so I walked like in front of all those buildings. And at the time, like, well, the first time I did, when I walked along, you know, a sign would be up, you know, Miami or, you know, Miami or whatever. When I came to this one area, you know, it said entering Surfside. And I was like, what? I'm in Miami, you know? And I'm not sure if it's when I went or when I came back, or maybe it was the next time I went there. I, you know, saw that sign again, you know, in Surfside, and so I turned down the street, and then I could see that I was in a really sort of expensive area, really expensive, and I could also, I can't remember what those signs were, you know, but it was like, I forget, you know, it was not real inviting, I think, you know, like signs that, they didn't say this, but like, you know, you're not really good enough to be in our, you know, little community. But I walked in, I'm not sure I walked in the entire area of it, or else it was really small, and I think it might be really, I guess we could look that up, couldn't we? Well, let's do that. Okay. We have a computer here. Let's see. Surfside, Florida. Okay. Town of Surfside. Town news. Let's see. Well, let's see about let's see, Town Gazette, pay my utility bills. Okay. Surely down here will be a town. What am I missing? Home, departments, residence, businesses, contact. Okay, I'm going to back out of here and pick Wikipedia. Here we go. Surfside is a town in Miami-Dade County, Florida, United States. Okay, here you go. The population is 5,744 with the 2010 census. Surfside is primarily residential beachside community with several multi-story condominium buildings adjacent to the Surfside beach on the Atlantic Ocean. The town is bordered on the south by the North Beach neighborhood of Miami Beach, on the north by Ball Harbor, and on the west by Biscayne Bay, and on the east by the Atlantic Ocean. Okay. So, population, all that kind of stuff. Anyway, so I was in that area, walked through there repeatedly, and I saw the thing Surfside, and I wondered about the community. I knew it was small. 5,000 is really small. That building collapse is just absolutely tragic, of course. And the people, families, my God. I was expecting more, I think we all were, more survivors from it, because usually like hurricanes, tornadoes, and you earthquakes, things like that, you know, like overseas and different places. You know, they do that. They find areas and they find people, and sometimes they'll be like, you know, a week or two, a couple weeks later, and you know, okay, we're just not getting any more live people, and then they'll be on this, you know, on the news. They pulled a child or somebody out that had been there for 2 weeks or something like this. And that's sort of what I was expecting with this, but it doesn't look like it. It looks like that came down, and it came down, you know, boom, 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 boom. And that's really bad. I was working in Kansas City, Missouri, hospital security, and I forget what the date was. I could look it up, but never mind. And we switched every 2 hours. I was in bad neighborhood. Security, they had a security force of about 25 security officers. And of course, not all working at the same time, but we switched every 2 hours. I was at that time assigned to the garage using a Cushman scooter to patrol the garage. Of course, if somebody came up, you know, I would, whoever was there, or, because we had a guy in a car, a patrol car too, and then somebody assigned to the ER and all that. But for the garage, multi-story garage, we had at an entrance there, one of the entrances, there was a guard shack right there, you know, with that little desk in it and the thing. And there was never nobody was ever assigned there, and I could probably count on my hand the number of times I ever went in there for any reason. I would check it occasionally just to see that, that it wasn't, that there wasn't a homeless person sleeping in it or something. There was, but so on this occasion, I went into it, and looked around. It didn't take just a few seconds, but the radio was going. There was a radio in there, and it was on. It was on to, I think, I'm not sure if it was country, something I would never listen to. And I didn't even know they had a radio in there, actually. I guess I never paid any attention. But I went in, and right away they broke into the news broadcast and said at the Regency Hyatt Hotel something had happened, and people were injured, and ambulances and people were responding. And I forget exactly what they said. They didn't have much information. But I turned off the radio, got in the thing and drove up to the level that the emergency room was on, and went on in, and I told the staff, I said, I don't have much information. There was a security officer there. I said, I don't have much information, but at the Regency Hyatt Hotel in downtown Kansas City, something has happened, and I think it's going to be, a big event, and hospitals are probably going to be alerted or something. And so my 2 hour thing was over, so that was my time. So I took over the emergency room, and the emergency room security officer, he went and took over the patrol car, and the car guy went inside, or I forget how we rotate. I can't remember. And then on the HEAR system, which is a radio, VHF radio system, and all the hospitals have that in the emergency room, and at the switchboard they have one sitting there. I'm not sure if some other hospital has also someplace else or whatever, but the tone went off. Beep, 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 or whatever, and it turns on. Of course, some of the hospitals just had theirs on all the time, but it turns it on, and then somebody comes on, whoever was net control or whatever, that there is I forget how they put it, class such and such disaster at Regency Hyatt. Please stand by to give us your information. So the nurses started scrambling or whatever, and then that's like they call each hospital over the air, how many beds available right now in the emergency room, how many beds available in ICU, and I forget what the other questions they asked were. So I went out to, stepped out to the emergency room, door to the parking lot, H lot we called it. That's where the helicopter landed. Did we have a helicopter at that time? Can't remember. And it was a fairly small lot, but that was where people coming in could pull into like the garage thing and drop off somebody, and then they could go park there, and out in one of the few spaces available there, and a few other people could park there. So I went out, and then I looked back at the ER area, and the wall was just lined with nurses, lab techs, just in white, standing out there, lined on that wall, waiting to if they were needed. I'd never seen that before. They were all lined there waiting. The security supervisor, of course, came. Another security officer was assigned inside. He came about that time. Barr. He was a black security officer. about my age. Of course, I was younger then, but he was good. Um, Now the supervisor, I really didn't have any trouble. He left me alone, but the security supervisor, he was an asshole. And two, what pissed me off about him was he had years of experience, like I did. I didn't. He had more experience at that hospital than I did, but I had more experience at other hospitals than he did. But every night, when anything would come up at all, he would call the director of security at home and ask him, "What should I do?" And it just made me want to fucking vomit. But anyway, so he's there, and so I'm out in the parking lot a little bit, going out to there, and a car comes in at high speed, and zooms right into, when it didn't crash into these people that are, and so it's under this canopy, thing, in like a garage thing. And then the man's driving, the woman with him tries to jump out of the window, and he starts pounding on her. So I go running, and by the time I got there, Burl had him, and I said, let's cuff him. And the supervisor, Bob Barr, "Oh, wait a minute," and the guy's saying, "That's my wife. She was admitted here to the psych unit, and she left, and she got out, and that, of course, he's that bitch or whatever." And I said, to Burl, I said, and then Bob Barr, "No, don't put the handcuff. No, he can go." And I said, "He needs to go to jail's where he needs to go. No, he can go." So he gets in his car and he's pulling out. He gets on the street, and then a police car just happens to be coming along. And then Bob Barr, the supervisor, "Oh, call the police. Tell them to arrest him. Tell them to," I said, "No," I said, "that's too late now, And so anyway, the hospital, of course, all the hospitals have a disaster plan, and when something like that happens, there'll be employees at home that see it when it hits the news or whatever, they'll be calling, do you need me to come in? This is Dr. So-and-so, you need me to come in? This is, whatever. And of course, then the hospital would be calling people, "We need you to come in. We're in a disaster, such and such." I can't remember now what the different stages were, So anyway, a car pulls into the H lot, and I start over towards the car, and Bob Barr, the supervisor of that shift, "No, Jim, he can park there. That's Mr. So-and-so that's, in charge, the department director for, of course I knew who they were. That's the plant operations director, And I said, and I went over and I said, "Sir, I know you're here about the disaster and but you need to move your car out of this parking lot." And he said, "Oh, okay." And he pulled out. And then I had several more people like that, department heads or whatever, that were coming in, and they would not normally be parking in that parking lot, They would be parking in the parking garage, And I went out and it was the supervisor, my supervisor, "Oh, that's Mr. So-and-so in charge of housekeeping," or, and go to the, the garage. "Don't park here." And they would say, "Yes," because they understood, okay, yeah, this was a bad idea to me, park here. We need to keep this, and they went in. So we started getting, what had happened, I guess I should have told you that. Regency Hyatt Hotel, a really nice one, downtown Kansas City, Missouri, having a tea party. You never heard of one of those, but they had, up above the thing was a thing up there held by suspension rods and cables or whatever up there, and you look down onto the ballroom floor where people were dancing and all that type of stuff, and a whole bunch of people were up on it, and one of the rods or whatever, there was that was news for a long time, thing broke and the entire thing came down on top of people. I forget how many people were killed. Some people were, pinned partially under it. Doctors actually amputated, had to amputate legs to get the people out. Water pipes broke, and had to make sure people weren't drowning, laying on the floor. That the water, and it was just a real disaster. It's one of the, it's like if you were to do, I don't know, top 10 architectural, I'm sure it's in the top 10 or something like that. And a lot of people died. But hospital I was working at, we didn't get a lot of patients, but we did get some. And so anyway, we're finally starting to get patients, and the hospital I worked at, a big hospital, and the other hospitals that were closer to the, of course we were close too, just down, but still, they do it, they filter them out. They had just had a disaster drill like this for the Kansas City area by the civil defense, the police, the fire, and EMS, and all those. They had just done the drill and everything went pretty well. And our hospital, other hospitals were calling for like beds and things that they needed, and our hospital was shipping them, sending them the stuff that they needed. Also, when something like this happens, the people who are wearing the aluminum tinfoil hats or whatever, and or hearing things, they show up at these kind of things. They're maybe at home and doing okay. Maybe they're doing something weird, but they're at home. But when something like this happens, they show up at different places, and they showed up at, so we had to deal with them. And so the supervisor I told you about, Bob Barr, their security supervisor, I'd gone out and told department heads to move there, and which I had no problem with. I told them politely, but firmly, you need to move. They moved. They understood, no problem. But Bob Barr was, all this stuff's going on, and what he's thinking about is, am I going to get into trouble? And I guess he's probably on the phone maybe he was on the phone to the director of security who, is in Raymore, Missouri, and I don't know what that director of security may have said or whatever, but so Bob Barr comes over to me and says, Jim, I need for you to go, that was what we call A level, I need you to go over down by surgery, here, you didn't have to tell me, I need you to go down there, and you just stay down there. So, okay, I knew why, so I go down there. Nobody's there. I'm all by myself. The people are bringing, sodas and sandwiches and things to, the nursing staff and security and everybody else. So they're having, where I just was, the Bob Barr and the security officer there, he's, they're having sandwiches and sodas or whatever, and I'm down all by myself down there, out of the way, so I don't, And then the local radio station, I think it was WHB, maybe more than one, I can't remember. They did a call-in thing, I think, and people called and said, how can we help this terrible disaster? What can we do? And the radio DJ said, well, you can go to the hospital and donate blood. Hospitals, well, of course, I can't make flat statements about, hospitals don't collect blood. There's blood bank, maybe more than one, depending on how big your city is. There's places where people go to donate blood, you know. So then people trying to help, who were moved by the incident and everything, show up. And even I ran into them down there because they were coming in, like cockroaches or something. Not that hospitals have cockroaches. But then, and so then, can I help you, Yes, I'm here to donate blood. No, what you need to do is, need to go to whatever it was called, Kansas City Blood Bank. No, they, WHB told us to come to the hospital. No, we don't collect blood here. I'm sorry, it's nice of you to want to help, but you need to go to, whatever. And nobody, not like now where somebody would kill you over a mask, or something else back, but they weren't happy. And so then finally the radio station was telling them, do not go to the hospitals to donate blood. Here's where to go. So an investigation was done, and it was faulty engineering that caused the thing. But plus two, on that thing up there, there was a lot of people there, but it should have held all those people up there. But of course people were dancing down below, and people were, but still it was faulty designed work, and it took a while with a, big investigation and the whole thing. At that time I was also, a reserve police officer in Raymore, Missouri. I patrolled one night a week. We didn't have a full-time officer. There was 7 of us, 7 days in a week, and I think mine was Sunday night. For years and years I patrolled every Sunday night. Of course, after a few years we started to get, first a dispatcher was hired in, a full-time dispatcher, and then eventually a security or a police officer on the midnight shift, and then, things changed over the time. But when I came in to do my Sunday night or whatever, the dispatcher, said, Jim, here's the list of homes here where somebody, died in the Regency Hyatt disaster. So kind of keep an eye on the houses as it patrolled. So okay. What is the moral to this story? Well, if you can, take a first aid course, get CPR certified for your home. Have some emergency supply. Have some emergency supplies. There's a whole ton of things that you can take out of situations like this. Hospitals that I worked at, there was times when security would have to, okay, well, they're going to be painting inside this garage. We had more than one garage. Well, it depends on what hospital you're at, but. So, it might be winter time, or might be 110 degrees, and I'd be out there, and an area of the parking garage was closed because they were chipping it away, fixing any places where rebar is showing, doing all, it could be, or painting, putting new, stripes for parking on the thing. Could be a lot of things, and I'm out there, and the nurses come in, and I'm saying, sorry, you can't park in this, you have to park over there. I always park here. I've worked here 15 years, and I always park here. And they, of course, hospitals are notorious for, being hard to work. Some hospitals, I don't think, well, we had a few lines, but on the floor, but, not like KU Medical Center, which in the Kansas City area, they were so big they had, follow the yellow brick road to get, whatever. We weren't that big, but these nurses had worked there 15, 20 years or whatever, and they had always parked right there, and they took it upon themselves that, hey, why are you doing this? Well, and I didn't, I just told them, park over, there, whatever. But, do you want your car have to be, spray painted? Or do you want rocks to fall, do you want rocks to fall on your car or whatever? They just, and they honestly did not know how to get to where they worked without, they always parked in the same place. They always went in the same door. They always took the same elevator. Oh my God. So if you run into somebody, police, security, fire, whatever, and there's, park down here or don't, I watch a lot of those YouTube videos of fires or whatever, and well, one, you see people not pulling over for emergency, vehicles. Pull over for emergency vehicles. Now I've seen some videos where you can kind of tell where people really, it's like, wow, people are pulling over, getting out of the way of the emergency vehicles. And you see some, man, I would hate to be a police officer or a fireman or something like in New York City. Oh my God. People there, but apparently from the videos I've seen on YouTube, they don't give a fuck. They're not getting out of the way for a fire truck or an ambulance or anything else. They can be, emergency people can be responding to your home because your home is on fire or your kid got hit by a car or something. Christ's sakes, Anyway, check out the, let's see. Nope, that's not it. I already left it. Okay, well, I can go back to it. I have the power. Check out Rita. Let me know what you think of. Let me know what you think of it.
For chlamydia.
That doesn't sound positive.
You'll need to contact your previous sexual partners.
All of them?
No, just the ones you like.
It's been 11 years since I lost my virginity, and what have I got?
I haven't watched.
Look at these names.
I haven't watched this. This might be interesting.
Some of them. What matters here, Dylan, is that you get back on the horse.
Have you?
Anyway, thank you very much for watching. Hey, use my links below if you can. I think I've made 15, it's not, I'm not trying to make, I'm not going to monetize this, of course. I can't monetize it after what I've said, about things, but I'm not really trying to, but if you're going to be buying something through Amazon, please use my link, go there, and then I'll get I think the last month or two I made $15 or something each month, in commission or whatever you want to call it. And it doesn't cost you anything, so if you can, do it. And thank you very much for watching.